She's got this old handwritten recipe that she'd made for years, and we always used to love it Christmas time. A bit of custard on your pudding. I think I go a little bit heavier handed on the brandy than she used to, but hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Beer with the Brewer. Today we are kicking off our series of birthday beers. This year we're turning 5, so we've undertaken the Herculean task of making 5 different beers, which are all shortly about to release. But today I'm joined by another very special guest. We've got Dan, who is our executive chef here at Revel. How are you, mates?
Good, mate.
Welcome to the podcast. I think it's your first appearance.
Yep, first. Hopefully there's more to come.
You ready to go, mate?
Yep.
Yeah. So, mate, you've been with us, I think, since River Makers opened, roughly?
Yeah.
A little bit longer?
Yeah, working at Bulimba for about 6 months prior to River Makers opening, so about a year and a half now.
Yeah, right, yep. Oh, good. So you're obviously a part of setting up the kitchen here, mate. A bit of a different offering than we have at Bulimba, being the pizza restaurant.
Yeah. Pretty much got free reign to, do the food that I want to do, make the customers happy, but still keep it, orientated to the pub side of things. Something that just complements the good beer that we do here.
Yeah, well, I think, mate, anyone that's eaten here can attest that the food is equally as good, if not better, than the beer. I certainly enjoy it when I come here.
Oh, well, it all comes back to the team. They do a great job, and I'm really proud of them.
Oh, that's good, mate. So I guess, what do we have here that's a bit different? So you got burgers on the menu, you often do steak.
Yep, we got 3 different steaks. We've got our staples like your palmies, schnitzels, beer battered barra, that sort of thing, cheeseburgers, steak sangers, but also, we've got fresh seafood, oysters, scallops, brick prawns, fish of the day. And then we also do nice snacky things, cheese plates, bread and dips, and just try to, make it somewhere where you can sit there, have a couple of beers, wines, whatever, and enjoy a snack on a hot day, or if you want a nice meal, something that's going to fill you up. So we try to cater for everybody in that aspect.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously, normally on this show we talk about the beers, but massive part of Revel is the hospitality offering. We are a brew pub, 2 brew pubs now. So the food obviously plays a big part. People come, bring their families, sit down, have a meal, a couple of beers. So, yeah. Anyway, mate, better crack this beer open. This one, the Christmas Pudding Sour Ale. So the idea behind this one, each year for Christmas, when I was a kid, would go over to my Nanna's, and she'd always make a Christmas pudding. Back in the day, it used to have like pennies in it, if you remember that when you were a kid. But she's got this old handwritten recipe that she'd made for years, and we always used to love it Christmas time. A bit of custard on your pudding.
Yep.
And now, for the last couple of years, I've actually made it myself about this time of year, about a month before Christmas. And then we eat it on Christmas Day, of course, and everyone sort of loves it. I think I go a little bit heavier handed on the brandy than she used to, but so the idea with the beer was to use all those sort of spices you put and fruits into the Christmas pudding, into the beer. So we've got, what do we have in it? Cinnamon, a bit of lemon and citrus zest. What else is in the Christmas pudding?
Mixed spice,
yeah, a bit of allspice. And then I had to find a source of fruit. So it's sultana, raisins, currants.
Yep.
So I went and raided Aldi a couple of weeks ago and we ended up, I think, chucking in, it was almost 100 kilos of fruit.
Oh, wow.
Into the tank. So we steeped them here. We were brewing on the day we did it. So we filled up, I think, 5 buckets full of hot wort out of the kettle, steeped the fruit for a couple of hours and then put it into the tank. So that was a bit of fun getting that in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is it, mate. Have a taste and tell me what you think.
It smells beautiful. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think the spices definitely come through.
So how do you manage to get all those flavors to, blend with each other in a beer? Because obviously it's different from making a pudding.
Yeah, obviously. The beer, it's a sour, so it's not going to be as sweet as the Christmas pudding. But I tried to portion it roughly the same as the recipe. The recipe is quite old, as I said, it's handwritten, it's in like old pounds, ounces, and even salt spoons. So the first time we made it, I had to look up what a salt spoon was, but that's an old measurement. You probably know it being a chef.
That's before my time.
Yeah. My Nana's pushing her 80s now, so yeah, I think it's been in the family for a while. But all the spices, basically, we made the base beer. It's the same sour as we use for most of our sours.
Yep.
That ended up in one of the smaller tanks down the bottom. We ended up pouring some of the spices directly into the tank. Some of them need to be ground up. I think I got in touch with you asking how I grind 20 kilos of allspice. But we ended up using Flex's Ninja.
Yep.
So I think Dino nearly cooked it from mulching up all the spices. The allspice
Just take it back.
and nutmeg in there. Yeah. So nutmeg are quite big. It's almost half the size of a walnut, I guess.
Yeah.
So they had to be ground up. And then some of the other spices poured into the work with the fruit, which probably wasn't a good idea because it sort of set like icing on a cake almost.
Oh, wow.
So then Gaz and I had to manhandle that into the tank. But basically just sat in the tank for, I don't know, 2 weeks and sort of steeped in the beer. So we chucked it in at fermentation temperature, which is about 20 degrees. And over that time, it's sort of all the flavors come through.
Wow.
And they've carried through pretty well into the beer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's got, I guess, Christmas pudding. We always have it with a bit of custard. My nanny used to make, she used to call it baby custard when we were kids. So we put a little bit of lactose in it. It had most of the spices added, and then we just kept adding things along the way until sort of happy with the balance of the flavors. The lactose went in later because the beer was being a sour, and then we threw in all this citrus peel, and that increased the acidity. So it was quite tart. I just wanted to balance that out a little bit, so put a bit of lactose in it. I think on Christmas Day though, it'd be nice to cut through whatever it is you're eating.
Oh, look, that would definitely go down great on a hot day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's not a very hot day at the moment, the first day of summer, and that's a good segue, mate. It looks like New Zealand weather.
Yeah, it's this is the reason I left home, because of the rain.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story, mate? I didn't actually realise you were a Kiwi.
So 2009, I came over here with the dream of tropical Brisbane and beautiful weather and all that. My brother had been living here since he was 18. He's 11 years older than me.
Yep.
And I came over here and actually started working in Bulimba on Oxford Street at Oxford 152 as a chef, and moved around a few places over the course of the last 13 years. And I found myself moving towards craft beer breweries and restaurants and stuff like that. And I just found that it was more of a family environment than a huge, giant organisation.
Yep.
You're treated like a person. People look after you. You get to, have a bit of freedom in what you want to do, rather than, hey, you're cooking this pie or you're cooking this steak. I jumped at the offer to come work for Revel. But Brisbane, I've absolutely loved it. Don't get me wrong, I still love Aotearoa, New Zealand, my hometown, but it's one of those things that Australia, unfortunately, was just a better living situation. I've loved the last 13 years that I've been here.
13 years, so I can only call you an Aussie now, mate. I think if you're here for 10 years, you sort of qualify.
Yeah, almost.
We've adopted Sam, Cuzzy Bro, as an Aussie.
Yeah, well, I seem to add mate to the end of every sentence. So.
Yeah, well, you've lost a bit of that Kiwi twang, mate. That's probably why I didn't pick it.
Yeah.
I think Sam still carries a bit of it.
Yeah.
Not too many cuzzies or anything like that in your vocabulary.
No, I think that's more of a South Island thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
when you're from the North Island, you're warmed up and you don't hold it in the cuzzy so much.
Speak a bit more of the Queen's English.
Yeah.
Like us Australians.
Yeah. So I had a question for you, mate. Like, my wife absolutely loves your sours, and I think her favourite is the pavlova sour.
Yep.
What goes into things like that?
So generally with the sours, the base of the beer is the same. So obviously make it here in the brewery. We brew the beer, it ends up in the whirlpool, and we pitch a lactobacillus culture into it. It needs to be at a certain temperature. We try hard to keep all the oxygen out. And then generally it takes between 24 and 48 hours. Basically the lactic acid goes to work, or the lactobacillus bacteria creates lactic acid, which makes the beer sour. Similar to making yogurt, which you probably understand.
Yep.
It's almost the same bacteria. There's 3 or 4 different strains people use.
Yep.
We use one called Lactobacillus plantarum, for any brewers out there or scientists. It rips the pH down to about 3.5, 3.4 and creates lactic acid. So that's the process for almost all the sours. We do the same with a Gosa.
Yep.
The only difference there, that has salt in it.
Okay. Yep.
And then basically, depending what we're trying to make, like the Pavlova, I think we did that a couple of years ago, the same time of year for Christmas, as a birthday beer. So being an Aussie, that was sort of I think it's actually a Kiwi, isn't it? A Pavlova.
Oh,
We've stolen that as well.
Between that and Farlap, I think it's just sharing, right?
Yeah, and a good Aussie tradition. You have the Pavlova in the sort of warmer months. So basically looked at what's on a Pavlova, all the fruits. We've got a pretty good supplier for fruits here in Queensland. So that one had, I think, strawberry, kiwi fruits, orange, and a couple of other fruits in it, a couple of other berries. And you basically just chuck them in the fermenter. So you ferment the beer out like a normal beer, and then when it gets towards the end of the fermentation, you put in the fruit, and then that ferments the fructose, the sugar in the fruit, so that we don't have any issues with it re-fermenting in the can. And then you're left with all the fruit flavour. So there's no sort of fermentable sugars left, but you can get the nice sort of fruit flavour. Some come through better than others. Certain fruits are sort of more flavoursome. But that was it for the Pavlova. We do the same for the mango macadamia, the strawberry cream we just made. They're all made very similar. The base is almost always the same. Some are 3.5, some are 4.5, depending what we're trying to recreate. Like we've done different sort of icy piles. We did a frosty fruit icy pile, which is my sort of favourite summer. I recently did a cola sour that was meant to taste like a cola Chupa Chup.
Yep, I tried that one. That was great.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how good that cola flavour was. It was awesome. Almost smelled like a fresh frozen Coke or something.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the process. So we've got making the base pretty down pat, and then it's almost a bit of winging it when you do a new one. I'm like, oh, this should go in this. Roughly use the same quantity in each batch, but as I said, depending on the fruit and also the quality of the fruit, you may have to add more just to boost the flavour a little bit. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the sours.
Nice.
So they've become a sort of big thing in our repertoire now, I guess. We make probably 5 or 6 in the warmer months over the 6-month period. Yeah, this time, sitting here now, it's not really sour weather, but leading into Christmas, everyone sort of loves them.
No, they're absolutely great. What would, I don't know, I'm just trying to think what would go really, really well with this if you're, having a meal with it. I'm thinking, something like even smoked salmon or...
Yeah, something lighter.
Yeah, something that's just going to, that citrus and...
It's almost like drinking like a Riesling or something like that. It's got that sort of bright acidity to it. It's really refreshing. Sort of white meat, fish, salmon would all be really nice. I think, mate, a little while ago we were working on putting together a degustation that has just been put on pause for a while, but when we actually, in the new year sometime, actually if either of us find some time, that'd be a pretty cool event.
Yeah, well, I've got it in my back pocket, and now that we're up and running 7 days, I should be able to make sure that happens, and we'll get some people in here and taste the beer with the food and see if I'm worth my weight.
I'm sure you are, mate. No, something to look forward. What do we have? 6 courses?
Yeah, 6 courses. There was duck parfait in there. There was espresso truffles, and I think there was like pork 3 ways, lamb Wellington, so like a beef Wellington, but lamb.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that now that I've got my head around what's going on in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, that'll be awesome. They're always good fun, those events.
Yeah.
So, mate, do you ever get a chance to get back over to New Zealand? Still got family over there?
Yeah. So I come from a really small family. So I've got my mum and my stepdad there and my uncle. So I try and go back and see them at least once a year. Obviously with COVID and stuff like that, wasn't able to go but they actually just came and visited us here in July.
Yeah, nice.
Had a few meals and stuff like that. So really, really good to see them. My wife wants me to go over for a trip, probably March or May next year.
March is a good time of year over there. We went over a couple of years ago for the hop harvest.
Yeah.
It's good fun. Go to the March Fest.
Yeah, so there's plans to do it. We just have to hope that nothing happens in the climate that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, well, who knows what's going to happen.
But yeah, I'd love to go over there. There's some breweries there that I love going to try. So I think I have my first sour beer over there. My brother introduced me to sours.
Yeah.
Now it seems everywhere I go, sours are the thing.
It's certainly, well, definitely in my time in Queensland, it's kicked off over the last 4 or 5 years. Most breweries now make a sour. Some better than others, of course, like any beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a big thing of what we do. And doing something like this, it's a pretty out there idea, I guess, but I think it's come together all right.
Yeah, well, like I always thought that the sours that I tried, it was like licking a battery. It was just that shock.
City.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But since working here and just trying the different sours, I think the strawberries and cream sour was the first one I tried. And since then, my mind's kind of changed because I was always a lager or pale ale sort of person. Just give me the same thing every time. Now, if there's something new on, I'm straight for it.
Yeah, that's good. Sort of on your journey, mate.
Yeah,
well, obviously being a chef, you have a pretty good palate and having to taste stuff all the time.
Yeah, well, I try to, keep myself up and make sure that I'm trying new things and stuff like that, especially if it's something that I don't like.
Yeah.
I kind of just force myself to eat those sort of things, but yeah, it's just constantly, tasting.
Continually sort of learning.
Yeah.
So I do the same with beer as well. I'm always trying to try different things, try other breweries' beers to see what they're doing.
Yeah. And
just try and learn and evolve what you're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes, beer's almost like wine. It can, straight cold out of the fridge or up the tap, it can taste totally different to 5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
So, stouts are a big thing like that.
Yeah.
So, I absolutely love them. I've been changed. I'm converted.
Yeah, that's good to hear, mate. Oh well, mate, I think we've just about covered everything. This, as I said, beer 1 of 5 of the 5 birthday beers. We'll be doing a podcast on each of them. So you're first off the rank, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No worries.
Thanks for having a chat.
Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Cheers. Cheers, guys.